What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be breaking down a brand new Clash Royale deck. Now this deck is so toxic, so unstoppable, so rage inducing that your opponents will uninstall mid battle. Now we're talking about the Evo Royal Giant, powered by the Evo Wizard, Battle Healer, Elixir Golem, and Rage. This isn't a deck, this is a tower melting machine, guys. This is an absolute beast of a deck, and hopefully you guys do enjoy. So the complete deck is going to be the Evo Royal Giant, which is your win condition, your Evo Wizard, which is your main defense for swarms, and just to back up the Evo Royal Giant in general, the Evo Wizard does a pretty good job. Then we have another type of push mechanic in the Battle Healer and the Elixir Golem combination. I think they work really well in this because most people are going to be thinking that the Royal Giant is going to be our only win condition. We have two win conditions in this deck, and the Elixir Golem does very well, especially with the Evo Wizard and Battle Healer behind them. There's a lot of damage being pumped out from them. And then we have the Hero Knight, which is going to soak up all that pressure. You're going to be using that ability to take pressure off the Royal Giant and the Elixir Golem so they can do their job and start pumping out damage to those towers. And then we're going to be running the Electro Spirit just for extra cycle and be able to deal with swarms a little bit better, but it's mostly for the cycle. And then we have the Log for some extra cleanup, and the Rage. Now the Rage needs to be used properly in this deck. You need to make sure that you're actually hitting the tower before using Rage, because a lot of players make the mistake of using Rage before the Royal Giant has actually hit the tower. I only use Rage when he's already locked into the tower. Other than that, I don't typically use it as much. I've also used Rage for defensive purposes. Funny enough, there has been times where I don't have something to use and a swarm is coming my way, and I actually end up using Rage defensively onto the tower and taking out the swarm. So don't be afraid to do that. Some situations do call for a move like that, and you might be hesitating to do a move like that. At the end of the day, as long as you're making that defense, it's all going to be good. Now I'm going to be giving you guys some tips on the deck. So tip number one is going to be use your Elixir Golem as a punishing tool. Only use your Elixir Golem when your opponent overspends. Never first play it. Never just show your hand just out of nowhere. Make sure you guys are going to be getting value off the Elixir Golem, because otherwise you're going to be just feeding the enemy Elixir with no real plan. And make sure you also have some backup for it. Never use an Elixir Golem just by itself expecting it to reach the enemy tower. It's going to get taken out. They're going to have the Elixir advantage, and they're going to be coming at you with a lot more firepower than you will be able to pump out. That is not how you play the Elixir Golem. You need to make sure you will be getting value, or at least make your opponent overspend, and that is where your backup units come into play, where your Evo Wizard is going to be defending. Also your Knight is going to be defending as well, soaking up all that pressure, and then you're going to have your Evo Royal Giant just going completely ham onto the Princess Towers and taking them out very quickly. Always keep in mind, guys, that this is a little bit heavier onto the cycle, so you necessarily aren't playing with a building, so some decks are going to be a lot stronger and other decks are not. So let's talk about some of the best decks you can counter with this deck and some of the decks you might actually end up struggling with, so you guys keep in mind and understand your matchups a little bit better. So for the most part, some of your best matchups are Lava Hound decks, Swarm decks, Beatdown, and Bridge Spam. So basically very heavy decks. You can do very well up against them, because for Lava Hound especially, you have your Evo Wizard and your Battle Healer. You can easily overwhelm the Lava Hound, take care of it very quickly. Same with Swarm. You have your E-Spirit, you have your Log, you have your Evo Wizard. You're able to take out spam very quickly. And then with really big beatdown decks, you could go toe-to-toe with them very easily, again thanks to the Wizard, and you can always counter push with the Elixir Golem onto the side as well as the Battle Healer, and you can make dual lane pressure. And that is one of the very big strengths in this deck, that you can do a lot of dual lane damage to make your opponent really have to decide on what he's going to counter. Inevitably he will be taking damage onto his towers, and that is one of the most important things. You're going to be forcing your opponent into things that he doesn't want to do and things that he might not be prepared for. Now some of the hardest matchups are going to be buildings like cannons, bomb tower, Inferno Towers. Like these do very well up against this deck, and you just need to make sure you are cycling correctly into the deck. If you're playing into a lot of buildings, into a lot of wave clear, into a lot of tank killers like the P.E.K.K.A, that is where a lot of skill is going to be involved for you to be able to come ahead into these really strong matchups. But for the most part, you should be having a really good time with this deck, especially if you're in the mid ladder. But let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think? Is the Royal Giant one of your favorite Evos? And again, one of the most underrated Evos in the game is the Evo Wizard. At the end of the day, it doesn't really do a whole lot if it's just getting picked off. It needs to have beef in front of it. It needs to have a tank in front. It needs to be able to get value. So you can't just place an Evo Wizard on top of someone and expect it to really get value. It's something that you have to place in the back, make sure there's something in front of it to soak up all the damage, because if they can close the gap, get on top of the wizard, it will just get destroyed very, very quickly. That's not the point of the unit. The point of the unit is to be that backline destroyer, and if you use it properly, it will be rewarding you very, very greatly. And a lot of players have slowly started to realize how strong the Evo Wizard actually is, and those who do realize it and have it over leveled or max leveled, they know how much damage this wizard can actually pump out. Let me know in the comments below if you guys enjoyed the video and if you guys have been winning trophies with all the decks we've been posting. And also guys, we really do enjoy making content, especially on cards that aren't very popular in the meta, and we love making decks around that. It's really, really boring just to continuously follow the meta, especially if you don't have all these high level cards to be following the meta, because sometimes a card can be meta and be really, really strong at max level, but meanwhile if you're under leveled, it really doesn't do anything. And that's where it sucks for the grand majority of players who don't have maxed out accounts. It can cost a lot of money and time to have a maxed out account. So I really do enjoy just making decks that really work for everyone, whether you're at 5,000 trophies, whether you're at 10,000 trophies or maybe more. These decks can work for you, and especially if you want to have fun. At the end of the day guys, Clash Royale is a game to have fun, and you want to be able to win, but if you can win and have fun at the same time, that is a double W in my opinion. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.